What's your point of view about web hosting itself?
I think it's fragmented, a little bit noisy, and weirdly a little bit stuck. You have those hyperscalers like AWS, GCP. They're infrastructure tools, not products. And then you have, a sea of shared hosting platforms, as I also mentioned there. But in the middle, there's a huge gap. And that's where we sit, ServeBolt. It sits there.
ServeBolt is the perfect naming and the perfect company to be in.
Exactly.
Be fast, right?
Yeah, move fast. Yeah, it's fast. It's rare to find a company that has, I would say, deep tech, loyal customers, and real product market fit, and still hasn't told its story properly to the world. So that's why I saw in ServeBolt, more or less.
Yeah, so right, that's what I wanted to ask. So you've made your due diligence before joining, obviously.
I used several people to do a DD on the company, both in terms of trying to breach the company or the servers, which we couldn't.
I mean, you wanted to hack the servers of ServeBolt?
Exactly.
Just okay. Let's say I have a hosting company, or maybe I want to have a hosting company. What should I do to succeed?
Understand your limits. You don't have to be great at everything. Great founders build teams, bring in people that complement you, challenge you, and help push the company forward. If you don't have those people in your company, especially when growth accelerates, you're not going to make it. I'm a former pro ice hockey player, still play a little bit, but I think I bring the same mindset to the business. Pace, the discipline, and the resilience makes you win games. I think grit is what gets you through the hard part.
My guest is Lasse Hall, CEO of ServeBolt, a high-performance hosting company based in Norway, known for its speed and reliability around the world. He's a two-time founder who successfully exited both companies and has advised dozens of others on how to grow quickly without losing control. In the episode, we talk about the broken state of the hosting market, the fresh perspective he brought as an outsider, the importance of building complementary teams, and how resilience from sports shaped his mindset as a leader. Before we start, a big shout out to our diamond sponsor Blackwall, infrastructure security built for web hosters, engineered for engineers. Joining them are our gold sponsors NameHero and Panlafa. All these awesome companies make it possible for us to keep growing web hosting today. If you'd like to join them, feel free to reach out. Lasse, thank you for joining. Actually, I'm very curious about this interview because you are not the typical CEO in this industry, I must say, in terms that you are pretty fresh. But let's start with the basics. Let's start with the introduction of yourself. What's your story? Finishing as the CEO of ServeBolt.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, my name is Lasse Hall, a Norwegian. I'm the CEO of ServeBolt, performance first hosting company for businesses where speed, stability, and scale directly impact revenue. I've spent most of my career in financial services and tech. I built 2 startups across Europe, led some transformations in large organizations, and also advised CEOs and boards on how to scale, do turnarounds without losing control. So I care deeply about the intersection between performance and strategy, and I like to move fast. So that's on the business.
ServeBolt is the perfect naming and the perfect company to be in.
Exactly.
Be fast, right?
Yeah, move fast. Yeah, it's fast, and I move fast, so it's a good match, I would say. So on a personal note, married, 3 children. I'm a former pro ice hockey player, so still play a little bit, but I think I bring the same mindset to the business as I had in ice hockey, and the pace, the discipline, and the resilience makes you win games. I think grit is what gets you through the hard parts. So grit, consistency, and ability to push through friction. That's where the difference is made, both in the game and in the business, I would say.
Interesting, yeah. So you're saying, but what about competitiveness and in business? Is this also what you are driven by, or is more like just doing your
Oh.
thing and focusing on
No,
your game?
I like to focus on us, the company, and not looking too much on the competition. But obviously, I'm extremely competitive as a person, and always been so. So I think from that standpoint, it's a checkbox. I want to win, obviously, and I'm
Okay.
here to win as well.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Although I haven't been a professional sportsman, I regularly do sports, and I think there's a certain mindset that is in sports and also in business, and also
Yeah,
attracts certain type of people to
yeah,
move forward, achieve.
exactly. It's maybe stupid, but I'm competitive in almost everything I do, and I think
Yeah,
that kind of. I know it's a personal trait, I guess, and there's a lot of people that do have that, and some people don't. So but I like to surround myself with people that have that gene and have played sports of some sorts. You don't need to play professional to be a great teammate
yeah.
or a great person with the same mindset, of course. But from that perspective, I think it sets you up quite good if you want to achieve something in the business world as well.
Right. So let's talk about ServeBolt because I think that most of our listeners recognize the name, but may not. I'm included. I know that ServeBolt is about fast servers, and they you guys have your own technology. But correct me if I'm wrong. But maybe you can talk more about the company itself. I've met Earl. We actually had an interview recently. I know that he's
I think
been.
so.
I think he's
Yeah,
been
wasn't
one
it?
of.
Yeah.
Exactly, and he was one of the founders of the company, eventually taking over and managing it and growing it for many years. But that's all I know. So tell us more about the company
Okay,
itself.
so ServeBolt for me is just not a regular hosting company. It's a performance infrastructure company in my mind. So most hosting platforms today are built for mass adoption. We're not. We're built for speed, stability, and scalability, and we serve clients who need that performance to drive revenue, and that means e-commerce companies, publishers, media groups, digital agencies, teams where the milliseconds literally matter in everything you do, and that's what ServeBolt is for. So I would say we deliver the fastest infrastructure in the world for PHP-based applications like WordPress, WooCommerce, and we're not on just artificial benchmarks, but where it actually counts, server response, time to first byte, and those real user metrics. And I would say, we don't believe in overcomplicating things. No overbloated architecture, no magic catch plugins, just rock solid engineering, great support, great team, and performance that scales with your business. So yeah, that's servable.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Are you guys working remotely now? What's like the regular day of work at ServeBolt?
100% remote. Everyone's remote. I have an office myself, but that's just to get out of the house, to be honest. So, but everyone's 100% remote. So we're in different areas of the world.
Okay. Right, and and ServeBolt is pretty strong in Scandinavia, or is this more like a global company? How does it work?
I would say most of the people are in Scandi, and then we have some people in Europe, one in Australia, and then we're looking into other parts of the globe to expand into. But right now, it's mostly focused on Europe, where the people are.
Mhm. Okay, so also a little backstory because we didn't mention that. So you've joined ServeBolt pretty recently, and
Yes.
you've joined the company as a professional CEO, right? It's a shift that I think there are some scenarios in this industry that once you get to a certain point, either you are burnout or just I don't know, want to rest, or you have grown your company to a level when someone is offering you money to acquire you, you cannot say no,
Yeah.
right? So most of the founders just sell their companies, I would say. I think that's the most common thing. In this case, it's been different because I'm not sure if Earl has arranged it, or maybe tell us a bit a story about you taking over and what's the
Yeah,
deal.
so a couple of years ago, I think Alan had some complications through COVID, so he needed to take a little bit of a break and more or less just sit back a little bit, take the back seat, and then a year after that, he was looking for a new CEO because he wanted to take the chairman position. So that was the I think the main step, and then I think he wanted to get some fresh ideas and fresh people in as well, in terms of just taking it to the next level. And since I've done that a couple of times myself, but also I've advised and mentored and also been a consultant for many companies, both financial companies and other tech companies, in doing the same. I think and we had a good chemistry as well, and yeah, and it's rare to find a company that has, I would say, deep tech, loyal customers, and real product market fit, and still hasn't told its story properly to the world. So that's why I saw in ServeBolt, more or less.
Yeah, so right, that's what I wanted to ask. So you've made your due diligence before joining. Obviously, you had to make some research and decided, okay, let's do this. So what were you looking at, and what opportunities do you see for
Oh,
ServeBolt?
so what I was looking for is the tech, and where it was fitted in the I would say, in the market. So we did. I used several people to do a D&D on the company, both in terms of trying to breach the company or the servers, which we couldn't,
What do you mean?
and
You wanted to hack the servers of
yeah,
ServeBolt?
exactly.
Just okay.
And we couldn't, and that was the first check. And then the more we spoke, the more I understood that this company has built a world-class product. It's just outperforming all the big names in pure performance, and that was the thing that got me going. Really, it's I think ServeBolt is ready to take the next steps in terms of just getting up the ladder and then scaling into what it's kind of built to be. And it wasn't just a good hosting company. For me, it was a performance platform with global potential. So the opportunity to scale it, focus it, and tell the story is what that brought me in. And in a way that cuts through the noise. We're not here to be another hosting company. It's I want to be here to define a category that's different than anyone
Mhm.
else in the market.
All right, so a professional CEO joins ServeBolt.
Mm.
What is your strategy? Share it with us. So exclusive for web hosting today. A professional CEO enters ServeBolt and shares his strategy. Of course, as much as you can say. I imagine you cannot
Yeah,
share
obviously.
everything.
Yeah, I'll say I'll mention a little bit, but it's a lot of companies have a little bit of what it needs is focus, productize the company a little bit more, and then scale it. Focus means those three things: focus, products, and scale. So focus means narrowing um, in on the customers who care most about performance. This is WooCommerce sites, publishers, high traffic funnels, people where time is literally money. So it's focus. Who are we for,
Mhm.
more or less? And products means turning our strengths into, I would say, repeatable offerings. Tech is strong, but now we're packing it or packaging it better, and it's going to be different in the way forward. So we're not in the market right now with our new let's say our new menu, but it's we're on our way there. So it's going to be easier to buy, easier to scale, and easier to grow with as well. As a company that's scaling, we want to be there on the ride up. We don't want you to just be with us for a while and then choose someone else. So we're here to be with you. And scale, it's about distribution, right? We're investing in partnerships with agencies, dev teams, and other platforms as well. It's yeah, that's it, more or less. So we're not trying to be everything for everyone. We're here to be the best at what we do and to win where speed matters. That's it.
So specializing specializing in speed and performance. What about low-end customers? Those guys who are just starting and may need obviously speed is something that when you're thinking about your website, speed is one of the things in your mind, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you can come in. But you've also mentioned that you are narrowing your customer base into those specialized use cases.
Yeah.
What about the small guys or those who are starting? Is this also something that you are thinking of, or are you the company that steps in when other providers don't catch up and those customers need to leave? Like, what's the positioning there?
Yeah, that's the latter, more or less. So we're not, you have a sea of shared hosting platforms out there, right? Racing to the bottom on price and everything, and we're not going to be in that game or competition. We are going to have, let's say, a cheaper opportunity going forward, but that's also for people that's here for speed and scalability and security. It's we're not gonna have a product just to funnel people through into their plans. So we're here for the ones who really matter for, and that's so. No, we're not on the bottom end.
So at some point when you are this guy who's seeking after cheap price, but your platform or company grows and need something better, this is where
We
you'll
come
be
in.
considering ServeBolt as a
Yeah, definitely, 100%. So it's we're you have the AWS and the let's say the big boys in the market, and then you have the other ones that has all the cheap plans and so on and so on. But there's a middle market here that people tend to forget a little bit, and that's where we are. So yeah, we're mostly for the e-commerce and others that would want to scale and have extremely fast websites because we are fast.
So that's actually interesting. So you want to focus ServeBolt to target specific type of customers because actually there's plenty of them.
Yes.
If you think about it, there's just a little bit of noise here and there, but obviously when you have a shop that's having customers, that any agency who's advising on e-commerce will tell you that if your cart is slow, if you're wasting seconds during the order, you will be losing customers. And this is your positioning now as the
Yes.
guys who can deliver the best.
Yes.
So that's very interesting. But also,
Time
from
is
your
money.
experience, time is money.
Yeah, you're probably like me. If I put something in the cart and I want the cart to go to the next level, and it stalls for, let's say, 2-3 seconds, then maybe I'm on a different site already, right? It's just if something is always slow, it's I'm not gonna go through with the purchase. So it's I think speed online is millions.
Yeah, and that's also very interesting because as you spoke, that so many hosting providers are chasing for cheapest pricing and they are competing on pricing. If you can provide a unique product that's saving you money, and we are talking about a lot of money. We are not talking about $100.
No,
We
no,
are
no.
talking that every month, if you have all these customers coming in, it's a lot of money. So you don't have to compete on pricing, which is also something that if you can find your specialization in this market, you don't have to compete on pricing and have a comfortable business, I would say, right? You don't have to worry
Definitely.
about we need to go cheaper because our competition just provided a great offer. No, it's a different kind of game. So you're
Absolutely.
changing the rules for
Yeah.
yourself.
It's for me, it's I find it quite funny sometimes that we have people that also want to try other hosting providers as everyone else, and most big chunk of them comes back to us because we're faster, and although we cost a little bit more, I think your uptick in sales over time, that trumps the cost on hosting, because that's just a small piece of what your entire, let's say, business operates on.
Can we talk more a bit about the distribution? Because you've said that you are looking into even partnerships with other platforms. Like, what's your idea there?
Well, we haven't. It's part of the strategy, so I don't want to say too much. But we're in discussions with
Yeah.
multiple partners across the globe, or potential partners, if you may. That's very interesting for us in terms of distribution and the market play. So we're in deep discussions with multiple people that would make us take steps that's crucial for us into new markets, and also find partners that's, let's say, one of the, or many of the right partners to have in our search for our market. So it's distribution is going to get very much bigger and broad, and it's going to be more global. So it's interesting times for ServeBolt, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, so leveraging on your technology through partnerships and delivering your technology through
Yeah,
them. Okay, I'm
absolutely.
not gonna get that much into detail if you don't want to.
No.
You actually got me very curious, but let's leave it for now.
Let's just say that vertical in production, that's going to be very interesting.
Okay, let me know. I want to have an article about it at web hosting today, so let me know when it's ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's get back to the discussion about
Yeah.
you stepping in as the CEO and getting in charge of someone else's company to some extent. We can say that, right? How does it work? So let's say that I have my own company. Let's say that I'm still grinding, right? I still have that competitiveness and I want to do something, but at some point when I will reach a certain level and I don't know, I get bored, or I don't know. I got through the burnout once in my lifetime, so I can expect that maybe it will happen in the future. How does it work to bring in a new CEO, and what are the challenges when you just decide to do that? Like, how to do it? Maybe this way.
It's always difficult to come in as a I've been a shadow CEO, I've been a right hand guy, chief of staff, hired as a consultant, stuff like that, right? But taking over from a founder is quite, I would say, in this company has been quite good. Alan is very much quite a person who's giving me space and time to do what I do best, and he steps up when I need him to step up, and I think it's a good partnership to have. And then founders are incredibly close to the product, the tech, the early customers,
Mm-hmm.
they're builders, but to scale beyond that, and you get to a certain point where that makes sense, and it works out, but then you kind of hit that ceiling, then you need to pivot, and that's um and that's when Alan took me in. And then to build a global business, you need structure, process, focus, and pace, and that's where I come in. So what changes
Mm-hmm.
is I would say clarity. Goals get sharper, metrics become let's say a daily language. You need to align the team in a different way, because you're going to get more commercially minded and focused. So you're probably not going to get you know um, too much focus on the tech, but more on the commercially focused initiatives. And decisions move faster, not slower. It's not about putting on corporate layers, because that's just bullshit. But it's about
Yeah.
keeping momentum. The founder gets to focus on what they're best at, and I focus on building the system around it, the team, the product, growth, capital. But from I've been there where Alan is as well, but it's hard because handling over control, even partially, it's never easy. So you got to have a lot of trust, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
chemistry. Obviously, you have to have chemistry with the guy who takes over. and and the ambition needs to be aligned as well. But combined, those results can be extremely powerful.
What about being personal about the business? As you said, it's about letting the new guy do what they have to do, right? But
Yeah.
it's also, were there any situations that you guys had an argument that's, just chill, just relax, go on a vacation, come back, I'm gonna do my thing, or what? Like, how does it work?
I never argued with Alan, not once. So we are very aligned on the way forward. I like to keep a high pace, and I like to do changes where changes are needed. And sometimes that's a little bit of friction, and sometimes it's not. So it's I think for a company to scale and take those next steps as needed, you do need to do the things that you need to do to get that company
Mhm.
to that kind of a to get over that threshold and be ready for the next steps. Because if it's not, and you still have the same old mentality, and you're just going in the same pace, you're not going to get to that point. So, but back to your question, no, never been a discussion at all. So we're
Okay.
quite aligned, and but in the future, who knows?
Okay, so it sounds like Earl is pretty open-minded and he lets you do your thing. That's good, because I think that's something that I can relate to, is that I have made all my businesses myself from scratch, right? But
Yeah.
clearly I am missing experience. I have never worked for a corporation. I have never worked in a huge company. So when you want to become a huge company, you obviously lack experience. You need someone who knows how to do things, right?
Exactly. And if you have people that's been around the block
Mm.
before and have that experience and been through the, let's say it's always going to be a little bit of a storm sometimes.
Yeah.
But if you have people that's been through those storms before, it's like we'll get through this, no worries. And then getting scaling a company is not no easy feat.
No.
It's rough. And I think I speak to everyone who's been through a company who's scaled fast. It's no linear line, right? It's up
Yeah.
and down, and it's volatile, and it's sometimes it's unforgiven at the same time. And it's but I think as I said earlier, if you have that resilience and that grit and keep your
Okay.
feet steady, you're gonna go through it. No worries.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a good mindset. Yeah, exactly. So sports turns out to be very helpful in professional life.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your perspective on the industry. We've talked about it a little, but you are a fresh guy in the web hosting industry, right? You look at things from the outside. You clearly have a different point of view than the typical CEO that has been on the market for many years. So What's your point of view about web hosting itself, and like what opportunities do you still see? What risks and problems do you see?
Yeah. I have only been here 5 months in this industry, and this is new to me. And I've been to WordCamp and so on. And but what I'm seeing from the outside, because I'm still feeling a little bit outside, that I think it's fragmented, a little bit noisy, and weirdly a little bit stuck. I don't know where that
Mm-hmm.
feeling comes from, but it feels a little bit fragmented. As I said earlier, you have those hyperscalers like AWS, GCP. They're infrastructure tools, not products. And then you have, a sea of shared hosting platforms, as I also mentioned earlier. You know, but in the middle, there's a huge gap, and that's where we sit. ServeBolt sits there. So I would say there's a huge opportunity in offering specialized high performance infrastructure to digital teams who need speed, stability, and not just for vanity and say that, whoa, we're the fastest, but for real outcomes, conversion rates, SEO, ad performance, operational efficiency. That's where we are, and that's where who we want to be for. So I think for me also, I've been in a huge chunk of boardrooms and so on. Performance isn't just something you talk about around the coffee machine. Performance is becoming a boardroom topic, and it's not just on a developer's stage. And honestly, most of the industry hasn't caught up to that yet. So in my view, I think, the future, vertical platforms, hyper specialized infrastructure that helps specific types of businesses grow faster, safer, and a lot more predictability. I think that's where that's what I'm seeing from the outside, and that's the my goal for taking ServeBolt and being that niche player in there, and yeah, I think there's a lot of focus on that globally as well.
So you're talking a lot about the mid-market that hasn't been very well recognized by many providers, right? What do you think about the future itself? What do you think may happen in the near future? Okay, you have 5 years, 5 months experience at ServeBolt. Yeah, so so you're pretty fresh, but obviously, do you see any trends or something that is happening and like web hosting providers will have to face sooner or later?
Good question. Right
And
now,
try to
I
make the
can't.
best.
Yeah. I can't really, I don't have a good answer to you right now. But
Okay.
what I am seeing is that there's a lot of M&A work going on in the shadows, a lot of conversations moving that I've seen and also been a part of. So there's definitely a race for some of the larger players in the market to either IPO or get to a different place. And I think a lot of people also are racing fast to somewhere I have no idea. But I think I think in the next 3 to 5 years, you'll see a consolidation in the market, and some new players will pop up, and I think there's going to be a lot of M&A moving.
But for the industry itself, do you think? What about those? Do you have any view on SaaS taking over traditional web hosting? Do you think like it's really a
I think
threat?
so. I think
Yeah.
so. Yes, I think that's a really good question. So for a guy who's been in SaaS and for a number of years, yes, I think it's a real threat. I think I'm going to leave it with that. Yes, I
Okay.
agree.
Okay.
We're going to see some movement in that space, 100%.
Okay. Right. So maybe we should finish with the standard question I always ask.
Yeah.
Actually, two questions. One question I have usually about the AI, and do you guys see any opportunity in AI? And do you guys introduce AI into your company, into your products? What's your point of view?
As of now, we're utilizing AI in different parts of ServeBolt. I don't want to say too much, but and yes, we're also looking into AI, both into our deeper technology and then also in terms of just business operations. So I think utilizing AI is it's dumb not to use it and have it as a part of either a product or a tool for your customers. So I think AI is um, right now we're not probably utilizing it enough. So I think in the next year we'll have a deeper look and even have it in different parts of ServeBolt as well. So it's yes, definitely looking at AI and following deeply on the market change.
Mm-hmm. And the second usual last question is about your advice. What would be your advice to someone who is starting their business in this space, or like what would you advise to someone? You have been an advisor to many CEOs, right? So let's say I have a hosting company, or maybe I want to have a hosting company. What should I do to succeed?
Oh, yeah. Well, I can go on. I can
Easy
go.
question. I need easy answer.
Easy answer. Okay. I think I'll put it into like 3 or 4 buckets, but it all depends on who you are as a person, obviously. But in the hosting, yeah, I'll try to keep it simple. First, I think in hosting, know your customer better than anyone else. That's number one. Don't build for other developers unless that's who's paying you. Build for business outcome. That's one. Second,
What
I
do you mean
think
by business outcome? What's an example of
no
that?
business outcome in terms of revenue for your customers. Build for them, not for it's other developers. What I've seen is that a lot of other developers are keen on, let's say, impressing other developers in the same hosting space instead of building your business for your clients. So that's why I said that know
Okay.
your customer better than anyone else. Build for them. Build for the business outcome. Second, I would say productize early. If you want to scale, you custom solve every problem forever. So I would say find the 80% use case and build systems around that. And third, understand your limits. You don't have to be great at everything. Great founders build teams, bring in people that complement you, challenge you, and help push the company forward. If you don't have those people in your company, especially when growth accelerates, you're not going to make it. It's just you need those people. That's just taking the baton and just goes, and you don't need to point wherever they need to go. And I think lastly, and pointing back to you don't have to be great at everything. It's move fast, but don't be sloppy. That's great. Stay in the fight long enough, and you'll win. But be diligent, have resilience, and I think that's if you have parts of that, you'll definitely make it.
It's actually interesting because I would say I've been in this industry for 14 years, more or less, and being more as a solution provider, and I see that this industry is pretty slow in
It
adaptation.
is.
And I think it was fine when we have recently we had COVID and so many businesses were going online, and your customer base was naturally growing. But now I hear more and more that things are kind of slowing down based on the just organic growth, and now companies are pushing more and more into new products, innovations, and things like that. I think that's something that they've slept on for too long, and they were not fast enough.
I think you're right. And that brings us also back to the question about the SaaS companies, right? Because you can be a niche player and sit and don't let's say innovate for a while, but then other people will come and disrupt you, and then what then will you do, right? So I think it's slow, but I think we
Yeah.
need to start pushing the boundaries here.
Remember that hosting is a technology itself. So you are a technology company. You need to move forward with your technology as well. Things change, and we see it more and more now. So yeah, that sounds like a good advice for many founders in the space.
I can go on with that forever. To be honest, it's a big passion of mine. That mentality and keep things moving. Some people are find that extremely interesting, and some people don't. But I think from a sports perspective and a mindset perspective, your mindset is sometimes all you have in getting those results you get. If you get my drift.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, again, I can relate to that. I'm also just trying to do things and move things forward that don't stay where you are,
Yeah.
especially that the market is competitive.
Absolutely. That's a good point too, right on that one. Keep moving. You have to keep moving all the time. Just, keep on moving. Shit will happen. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
part of life, right? It will be like that. But I think, if you keep on moving and just solve problems and do the right thing, it's you're in a good space.
Let's finish with that. Thank you, Lasse, for the interview.
Thank you,
I
Conrad.
think it gives a new perspective to some of the guys from the industry. And what should I wish you? Have a great scaling further with ServeBolt and conquering your niche as much as you can, and continue to do that in the future.
Thank you, Conrad. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.